give you a brief about SolutionBuggy. SolutionBuggy is an online platform dedicated to small and medium-scale enterprises in manufacturing sector. It connects around 60,000 small and medium-scale enterprise and entrepreneurs in manufacturing sectors with around 10,000 subject matter experts. We have done around 1,500 projects till now and helped these companies and entrepreneurs grow, run their business more efficiently, and start up their business. I would like to also introduce briefly the two speakers that we have. We have Mr. Sanjay Nagi, who is Managing Director and founder of Market Insight Consultant with 37 years of experience. He's also an advisor to SolutionBuggy, a very well-known face in market research consulting area. We have Mr. Amitabh Pant with 30 years of experience in the industry. He's right now Vice President, BDP India. So in total, the two speakers have got around 67 years of experience. And if you include my experience also, it's around 90 years of experience. So I request you to, take part in the session. If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat box. The format of the session is I'll ask pertinent questions to different speakers and they'll answer to it. In the end, if time permits, we'll go for a question and answer session. But it would be an indirect question and answer session, which means that you can put your questions in the chat box. I'll moderate it and I'll ask the questions from the speakers. So setting the tone right, we are again in the mid of crisis, or rather trying to surpass this crisis now. So it's a COVID-2 wave now, which is fortunately less devastating to the business as COVID-1 wave was. Although there are concerns and there is an effect on global and Indian economy in general. The Japanese stockbroking firm known as Nomura has revised its estimate for this year. So the growth was expected to be around 12.6%, which has now become 10.8% right now, which means there is an effect of the lockdown which is coming up. So a pertinent question which comes into picture is, how can MSMEs survive in this volatile environment? And is it advisable to invest in manufacturing considering the present situation? So I'd like to first introduce the first speaker, Mr. Amitabh Pant, and like to pose this question on him. So before I pose this question, I would like to first introduce him. He has got around 30 years of experience in manufacturing domain. He's creative, analytical, and strategic thinker. He's innovative problem solver and successful change manager. He has been amongst top sandwich, journeyed across sales, marketing, pricing, channels, business intelligence, analytics, digital market, manufacturing, and SCM. So welcome to the session, sir. So we would like to seek your inputs on this area, which is how with this VUCA world or with this volatile environment where, in the mid of COVID, so how can MSMEs survive, the existing MSMEs? And is it advisable to invest in manufacturing, both for the existing companies and for the new ones in this present situation? Sir, you are on mute.
Yeah, I think now I'm audible. Yeah. So a very good morning to all of you, and thanks for taking out your time on a Saturday and being with us, 11 in the morning, which is a good thing. I mean, to see all of them out here on this platform. And because as you mentioned, I mean, yeah, I've been in the industry for quite some time, and on this topic which you have brought in, which is very interesting, and it talks about, the manufacturing opportunities in India. So, I mean, just to start with, maybe just to link it with this topic. So in my 30 years, and maybe Sanjay, you would also agree that in all what we have seen till now, I mean, the manufacturing has never gone down. So it has been exactly like the Sensex, graph in India, where each year you see the manufacturing going up and up and up. I mean, that is how it is going. You have these blips which comes in between, but that is expected, and I think it's good. So what I see the today's market, which has been similar in the last 1.5 years, that there is an immense opportunity going forward. And I think, as they say, that any adversity always brings in a lot of opportunities. So I think this is a very good opportunity where the whole industry is today, because this is the right launching pad specifically for the medium, small, and even the micro industries to come up and evolve. And how I see, and coming to your topic, so the answer is yes. I mean that the market is volatile and the environment is too dynamic and it is too volatile. But this is the right time to jump in. That is what I would say, and it is 100% advisable, to capitalize this opportunity. And the only thing which comes to my mind is that it's not something like jumping into the dark. It is a very good ray of light. And I personally, this is a personal opinion, that the PLI scheme incentives which have been announced, this incentive scheme is something which will take the MSME market way forward, and in an accelerated way. Because if you look at the PLI scheme, okay, it is for, somebody can say that it is applicable for the big customers, the MNCs, but the spill out to the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 segments will be huge. And anybody, if you look at the incentive schemes, this incentive scheme, which is about 4 to 6%, which the government is paying, a payout of approximately 2 lakh crores, and which will pump in 40 lakh crores of manufacturing output. It is not a joke. You have to believe in that, first of all. So I think that the pillar for the MSME would be to capitalize and keep the eyes open, and maybe watchful in the market, and look at opportunities of getting into some way or the other into the manufacturing, which will boost like anything, as a spill out of this PLI scheme. That is what I think. Second is, this market, which is changing, and why it is advisable for the MSME to invest right now, is there are a lot of foreign investors which we are seeing, who are trying to root into India. This I'm talking about the new companies and the new organizations which are trying to make roots into India. So that is something which needs to be capitalized, and this is a time where you should, people should grab onto those opportunities. Second, that's about the new opportunities, right? But other products, if you look at any industrial consumable product or any industrial equipment which was a little bit niche, which was considered a little bit niche, like, you take pumps, or you take compressors, or you take valves, or you take maybe, even small products, which was being imported by the parent company, by most of the MNCs. We are seeing that trend, that anything which was slightly expensive, which was like, not, I will not put the word expensive, but slightly niche in technology, and was being imported. There is a movement where there is a localization of these products happening. So there is a possibility that either these things would get produced in the existing manufacturing setup of these big companies, or they might be, they might move into the market. And this is what is happening, and that is what is going to happen, I think. Another option, like you mentioned, Vikas, was what is the opportunity for those who are already into it. And I see that this is the time where people can think of business diversification opportunities, because this is a time where you have some sort of a time to play around, to re-strategize your long-term and short-term visions. So I think for those who are already into the business, those who seem to think that, okay, things are not going the right way, for them, I think this is the best opportunity to think of business diversification opportunities, using their current infrastructure, using their current skill sets. But just keeping mind, an open mind to the market, and just try to think, are there any business diversification opportunities which can take them out from this, if at all somebody is stuck in the market. So just to sum up, so I think it's a volatile environment, but yes, it's a huge opportunity to grow for the MSME. And it is, according to me, I think it's 200% advisable for them to get into manufacturing, considering what is happening as of now. So maybe Sanjay, if you would like to add something, maybe you can add your experience into it.
That depends on Vikas. I think.
Thanks for giving me that privilege, Sanjay sir. Okay, so I'll first like to tell my experience and about this. So last 1 year or so has been very very dynamic for Solution Buggy also. We see thousands of entrepreneurs who want to enter into manufacturing sector. These are people who are new young people who first time are doing business, or these are people who are not from manufacturing sector, from reality or infrastructure or even hospitality sector, who want to enter into manufacturing sector. So we see a lot of interest, lot of positive sentiments from people, from young entrepreneurs, from investors coming into Solution Buggy and trying to ask them, trying to get some hand holding, trying to get some idea on where to invest, how they can move forward, and trying to know more about the market. So with this, I come to Mr. Sanjay Nagi, who is, of course, a well-known person in this industry. And he has done a lot of market research in different miscellaneous field in different sectors. So I would like to know from you, first of all, your point of view on, is it the right time to invest in manufacturing? And then which are the sectors which are going to come up post-COVID scenario? And what are the sectors which have emerged due to COVID? And if these sectors have emerged, is it a sustainable growth that they bring?
Okay, I think Amitabh answered very well, except that I would not agree on the PLI part of it, because historically in India, wherever an industry has depended on government incentives, after those government incentives get withdrawn, and this government is notorious for changing at the drop of a hat, the industry has closed down. You see the entire Baddi industrial area is closed, because they got some benefits for some time, and the industry got used to those benefits, and the moment those benefits were taken away, the whole industry collapsed. So I think industry, manufacturing sector, they should not factor in PLI while doing their feasibilities. This is my suggestion and recommendation for a more robust thing. Now coming to sectors, interesting question. Sectors, there will be sectoral shift, but I will give you frameworks rather than just point out which exactly sectors. I will give a framework in which people will be able to map their own opportunities and apply their own minds, because the power of the mind is more important than the power of a consultant. I think that I would like to believe. So one is, if you see, one is a direct resultant opportunity. So COVID happened. Now there is an opportunity directly. There is an opportunity for masks, which was never there before. There is an opportunity for sanitizer, which was never there before. There is an opportunity for vaccines, which is never there before. There is an opportunity for needles. Nowadays, needles are in short supply, the hypodermic needles, because there's so much of testing going on that they are not able to get needles. So there's lots of direct resultant opportunities as a result of COVID coming in. So COVID can be seen as an opportunity because it gives rise to certain sectors and certain industry segments which are very relevant and robust for the future. So this is point number one. Second point is, because of COVID and the fear that China has introduced this as a biological warfare, there have been geopolitical shifts. Now, because of geopolitical shifts and because of the Chinese intrusion into Indian territories, etc., also, there will be increasing shift away from China for manufacturing. So today, if China has, say, X industry, which is invested by the USA, they would like to move out. Now, whether India can capitalize on that or not is the second opportunity. So we already seen that Apple has decided to manufacture in India, and there will be opportunities for the SMEs to do some electronic stuffing or whatever. So it starts from the geopolitical opportunity. So that's also an opportunity which has come up in this time. The third segment, I would say, are outcome opportunities. For example, now there is an increasing desire for immunity. Now, immunity foods, for example, is an outcome opportunity. Prophylactics, ready-to-eat foods, contactless technologies. You go to a restaurant and you order through a contactless technology. That manufacturing or that system integration is going to be a very, very big opportunity in India. Last mile connectivity. I invested in a fleet management company. In 1 year, their valuation has grown 2.5 times. In 1 year, less than 1 year. So there's lots of outcome opportunities because of this. People are not going to markets; they are ordering from Amazons, and the last mile connectivity. It may not be a manufacturing sector, but there are other opportunities over there also. So. The last, I would say, is accelerated opportunities, which get accelerated because of COVID. Let's say when you think of Ayurvedic solutions, you never thought of Ayurvedic solutions before COVID. But now there is increasing preference for Ayurvedic solutions. And Ayurvedic solutions is not the traditional method. You have some things like in my vaccine company, we are developing nanopeptides, which is all in the manufacturing domain. We are doing colostrum, which is the first milk of the mother or the animal, or now we are trying to experiment on plant. So there are lots of opportunities around this area. And the final opportunity is repurposed opportunities. The breweries, they closed down because they could not supply the liquor. They went into sanitizers. So if you see your own plants, where can you repurpose your plants around COVID? Maybe there is an opportunity. Steel plants became oxygen producers. You know that. The biggest, they ran oxygen. Drug plants, they repurposed themselves around DRDO in mass. It produced that cancer, which was a cancer drug, has now got repurposed into COVID. So I can go on and on, but the environment is right. The sectors are there for you to see. The reasons of those sectors are there for you to see. And then finally, it depends on each one, to each his own. There's no universal right for everybody. If somebody, for example, is into precision machining, he will not be comfortable to do a process plant. So he will have to look for a process opportunity within machining sector or whatever. And somebody is doing a chemical plant, he would be comfortable to shift to a drug plant or whatever, but he might not be comfortable with machining. So those kind of opportunities will come. I hope that answers in a context of the SME, ranging from the macro geopolitical to down to you as such.
Yeah. Right, sir. So the very nice categorization that you have given of different opportunities that we can categorize, and of course, a strong message which comes from you and also from Amitabh sir is that opportunities are there and it is the right time to invest. Might be we have to be a bit more cautious on where we are going. So I would like to also share some of the areas that have been growing in our platform, and I believe that because our platform is India specific and it's not specific to a particular geography or state, it talks what is happening in India. So we have seen a lot of interest, of course, in last 2-3 months on COVID related, pharma and oxygen plants and APIs, but also in food processing sector. We have seen a lot of growth and a lot of interest in packaging sector, and of course in defense due to the change in geopolitical situation, what you said. So this is in brief about what our experience has been in this sector. But sir, again, I'll come to Mr. Nagi. Sir, out of these, when we say that because of this COVID situation, certain product demand has increased. But do you see this demand as sustainable, or do you see it's a short-term demand?
I think that again depends on the sector, but it's a good question. Like I find almost every day I'm getting one inquiry for oxygen plant. And I'm telling all of them that this demand is not sustainable. This demand is going to be there for only a very short period of time, because the oxygen is never less. It is the logistics issue which is beating us. and an SME cannot handle the logistics so it will work in a micro domain, it will work in a one sector. So you have to see this in a very micro sector, then it will be sustainable demand for you. Foods, you are very right about foods, especially immunity foods, unlimited growth and sustainable growth. Contactless technology, sustainable growth, health tech. If you see health tech, I am advising and I am investing in companies which are into wearables. So if somebody can make a wearable like something like the Apple Watch, it's something that is going to go into every home tomorrow, and you need manufacturing for that. The IT people will make the solutions, but you need the band, you need the sensor, you need the devices, you need the BP instruments, you need the thing. Prime Minister has asked for a big drive around telemedicine. So we got into a telemedicine company. And now they are setting up 5,000 clinics. And therefore, it means 5,000 into 10, 50,000 remote diagnostic stethoscopes and whatever, all digital, remote. Huge opportunity. And 5,000 is just the tip of the iceberg. So like that, there will be lots of opportunities which are sustainable because they address to the convenience of the people. They address to the changing needs of the people. They address the geopolitical shifts. Toys industry, we stopped importing from China. Huge demand, and it's not only in toys, it's in the molds of the toys. We don't have molds. If any one of these SME people were to just focus on this one area, let's make a mold for a toy and then become a B2B supplier to give to any toy factory, because people are struggling. They don't have molds today. So you have to carefully intersect. And as Vikas said, opportunity is there. And in many sectors, which I have pointed out, it is a sustainable demand.
Right, sir. Amitabh sir, I would like to know from you, what is your take on which sectors can grow in future, in long term, and which sectors will grow in short term? What is your opinion about it? Sir, again, you are on mute.
So this reminds me, one thing. I mean, we can change the topic for a minute. Like Mr. Nagi said about the opportunities. Personally, I see one opportunity, not such a big one, but, for headphones, which are with a noise cutoff, they are there. But this is the best time, to invest in products which are very creative, very innovative. So it just reminded me from your mute thing that, I mean, if somebody comes out with, with some electronic headphones, which have got a beautiful noise, noise cancellation thing, and rightly priced, I think it's a good opportunity. Okay, yeah, sorry. Coming back to your point, I'll put it this way. Maybe before we come into the short term and long term, sectors which would grow, what we have seen is, I have experienced some shift in the market for businesses to shift from B2B to B2C. So that is not linked to it's not linked to an industry segment as such, but there is a mind shift for some business men that, I mean, is it good to continue in a B2B environment and have your customers as a B2B, or is it time to either diversify into B2C, or maybe shift off something which is more of B2C type. So this was one change which we saw, that there are businesses which are trying to shift to a B2C environment from a short-term point of view. I mean, so to gain some revenues or to generate a second revenue stream. Immediately, what comes to my mind is when it comes for a short-term is something which you can capitalize, which is already existing. So there are two segments. I mean, which I personally believe, and maybe there are some examples for that. Specifically, I mean, it's nothing new. I mean, it's the F&B segment and the personal care segment. So these two are expanding. Like, I mean, there is not even a single day when you come across a project or a requirement for somebody asking for a market research or maybe some additional information or consulting either into an F&B segment or into a personal care segment. These two are, I mean, these are very, very, top of the mind for everyone. And within F&B, if you see, I mean, there is more focus somehow on the fishery and the meat products and maybe the dairy and imported the chocolates. I mean, specifically within the dairy. So there are various subsegments into the F&B which are becoming very prominent. And one sector which we have seen which has moved like anything in the F&B, personal care, and extended to the pharma is some we can put it as sanitary. I mean, sanitary products, which could be pumps, which could be pipings, which could be valves, anything which is connected to sanitization within a F&B, personal care, or a pharma lab. Though that requirement has gone up because I think maybe there are many plants which are coming up new. So that is one of the segment which can be addressed short term because it is there and it is expanding, and I mean there's a possibility of getting into it. The second one, which is little mid-term and long-term, and which needs a little bit of more planning, is the robotics, automation, intralogistics, and warehousing. If I put everything together, it's a very vast subject, and I've just put it. I mean, it's easy to say and speak out, but that is an area where you see that a lot of churning around will happen going forward with this e-tail and the e-marketing and the Amazons and the Flipkarts and so much of like Mr. Nagi said that I mean people are shifting to this contactless delivery. So the more of the movement has been there are more micro logistic setups which are coming in. So this automation, intralogistics, and a little bit of robotics of pick and place and sorting, that is something which will be midterm to a little which will be a little midterm, and then it will evolve long term 100% for sure. The third, a little bit more would be the renewable energy, focus on the solar, specifically solar going forward. And I think we had so many cases where people said that for solar, for the solar segment we have got huge orders, but I mean we are not able to make it because of some components that are not available in India, which needs to be imported from China. But I mean there have been problems of importing it because there's a lot of dependency on products coming in from China. I think the tubes and the high-end tubes and all. So I think the solar products, that is something long-term which could be a good connected thing going forward. And last but not the least, I don't know where to put it, short-term, mid-term, or long-term, or anything which is to do with the agri domain, be it the farming or be it the farming, mechanization or anything connected to that. You take the hydroponics, you take the organic farming, you take the spices which is coming in, the exports which is happening in that area. So it could be either the farm produce, or it could be the mechanization in the farms, or it could be anything related to the agri industry, from cold storage to packaging to labeling to print. I mean anything and everything in that sector. And that is short term, mid term, long term. It will go across all the terms, I believe.
Okay. Thanks for your input, sir.
Yep.
I would also like to share what Mr. Nagi said, that it's a bit more complicated. So I'll just give an example of textile sector with my interaction with two different entrepreneurs. So one was into manufacturing of innerwear, and the other one was into manufacturing of bridal wear, customized Indian bridal wear. So the problem or the challenge that the first guy was facing was related to the demand. The demand has drastically decreased for him, and he was in in a panic on how he would make his company run. However, the other one, who is again an innerwear manufacturer, has to increase his manufacturing capacity because the demand was increasing like anything. So it depends on which kind of products do you manufacture and which kind of sector you are in, of course, but then more on which kind of products do you manufacture and which kind of demand is coming up. There could be up and downs, but there could be always an increase, a trend on increase or decrease in demand with the time. So with this, I would come to more specific questions. So right now we were covering more of generic questions related to manufacturing opportunities and sectors which are growing. So most of the new entrepreneurs that come to our platform have a ticket size of around 3 to 5 crore, which means they are ready to invest in 3 to 5 crore in the sector, but they are unaware of what to manufacture, and which markets to target. So right from a blank sheet, I would like to know from you, Mr. Sanjay, on how do we take it forward? Because if a person comes to us with a blank sheet, no background on manufacturing, just with an investment of 3 to 5 crore, how do we take it forward? How do we zero on these are the 2 or 3 products that he could manufacture? And it's not just the gut feeling we are talking about. We are talking, can we make this process more analytical, or is there a tool that you use to sort out these 2 3 products could be suitable to this person?
Yeah, see, we saw this opportunity also. It came from SolutionBuggy. It also came from other places where people said, because our current business is not growing like jeweler business or hotel business, but we have money and the third generation is ready and whatever. So give us solutions. And we found that typically they are just doing drawing room discussions with their friends and relatives and getting confused about it. So we developed a very unique methodology, because there is nothing like an ideal product that everybody makes and then they will succeed. In the same sector, you have some people succeeding, you have some people failing. So there's nothing wrong in any particular sector. You may not get into fountain pen industry, which is degrowing, but otherwise you should, every sector has potential in a longer term way, and you're not doing business for 1 or 2 years, you're doing business for a lifetime. So I think, so what we did is that we first created a framework to assess what is in your mind. So if Mr. Virmani has to do business, or Mr. Gowda has to do business, or Mr. Anvesh has to do business, they will be different individuals. So we are first having a data capture method to find out what is their abilities, what is their competencies, what is their drivers, what is their past experience, etc. So we come to know what is the capability and the motivation of this person. Separately, we see which sectors will suit this particular industry. Then we get agreement on the sectors. Then we list products within the sectors. And then as a decision support consultant, which I would like to call myself rather than a market research company, we make some matrices around market size, market growth, sustainability, competition intensity, margins in the line, degree of difficulty, position in value chain. So there are so many perspectives. Like Amitabh spoke very rightly about solar energy. From the demand point of view, it is a very good potential. But what is your position in the value chain in solar? You set up a small solar plant, you have to sell to the electricity board, and tomorrow they will not honor your PPA. So your investment goes zero. It's happening left, right, center, everywhere. Because the PPAs are now coming at a lower rate. So the PPAs at a higher rate are not getting honored. So you have to see position in value chain, etc. So when we do all this analysis, then we come to 1 or 2 sectors in the context of what works for that particular entrepreneur, and it will be different for Mr. Gowda and Mr. Velamkonda. It will be different for them. So that way we make something which is unique to that person. Now, so somebody we have recommended to get into chemicals, and somebody we recommended to get into mushrooms and whatever. So it depends on what you are capable and what market opportunity exists, and we intersect both those and provide that framework. So there is a structured tool. It's available through SolutionBuggy in a very low cost manner to help our SME sector. We actually make a loss while doing it, but it is just a commitment to the relationship we have with SolutionBuggy as well as the SME sector. So I think you can definitely use this for yourselves. Yeah. There were some questions on the sectors which I would like to take up. So there's a question from Rushal Patil on roofing sheets. Is it a good business? I would say yes. Good business, but only rural. And if you can find a low cost method to insulate these roofing sheets, big rural demand sustainable demand. So that's one. Then there is a question from Nishit Virmani on auto ancillary. I would say that's not a very happy situation. There is overcapacity, and everyone's looking at re-altered value chains. Except in the electric vehicle, if you have technologies around battery management, BMS, so the whole of auto industry itself in a 20-year context will shift to electric, and the opportunities for see, you remember when the carburetors went away and the MPFI came. So all the carburetor manufacturers, they finished, no? Unless they were able to reinvent themselves. And all the SMEs, they definitely finished. So when you see structural change happening in industry, you ideally don't go into that industry. So auto, we would go very, very carefully. It would not be a big demand. Last is a question on Srinivas on chips. Are you talking of eating chips for food? Yes, definitely. Very big potential. We are sitting in front of Amazon every day for 5 hours, watching movies, and the only thing we are eating is chips and increasing our weights. So big potential for chips. Yeah. If you're talking of electronic chips, not relevant for SMEs. So that's not. Okay. Sorry. Carry on.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for your inputs. But I have one question regarding auto ancillary, which is we are talking about electric mobility now. So, and then this sector is coming up. So, how do you see, should MSMEs invest in this area, or still you think that it's part of automotive sector and we
Yeah,
should be cautious?
it will be part of automotive only, but you have to invest in technology, and that is not a very comfortable situation for SMEs. Very few SMEs I know are able to invest in technology and grow. Maybe the microtechs and all, some people they did in inverters. You see how they grew because they were able to change the technology of the inverter. So if you can really invest in the technology, like I told you, battery management, still a virgin area. People don't understand. People think now I have one of my Roorkee guy. He has made a battery technology which can have a battery life of 15 years using some nano materials, whereas a normal battery will get finished within 3 years. So in an electric vehicle, you have to factor in 3 years. You have to factor in the replacement of the and there's huge demand for electric vehicles. So the electric vehicles batteries, there is a huge demand. For battery charging, there is a huge demand. For charging softwares, there's a huge demand. For battery management software, there's a huge, and what Vikas asked, sustainable demand. But unless you are in a technology area, you won't make money.
Okay. So technology means more related to information technology, or is it more related to research and development that we are talking about?
R&D.
Okay, sir. But sir, I've recently seen some initiatives from DRDOs or Government of India under Atmanirbhar Bharat, where they say that the design will be developed by the DRDOs, and then manufacturing would be done by a manufacturing partner. It could be a medium scale, small scale industry, or a bigger one.
I am offering technology from DRDO. I am offering technology from National Research Development Corporation. We are their technology transfer partners. I am offering technology from entire Israel. It would be available through SolutionBuggy, provided the interfaces are okay. The Israel Innovation Council, we have a tie-up with them. And whatever Israeli technologies, they will come through me into the country. And we will offer to people who want to make those products. So they already have the technology end built up through a joint venture partner. You can grab those opportunities. Yeah.
Right, sir. And Government of India also says that there's a technology development fund where they can,
they can lap onto that. Yes. Good idea.
The small expenses up to 10 crores. So which means that which makes a bit hand holding or support from the government to move ahead in R&D area.
Yes.
So there are some areas where we can. Amitabh sir, I would like to know from you: are there any tools available where people are absolutely blank on what they can manufacture? They have only funds and no background on manufacturing. How do we suggest to move ahead in this case?
That's an interesting question and a little bit difficult one for somebody who has to suggest someone what to manufacture. So, so I'll put it this way. I mean, if somebody is like you mentioned somewhere, if I read it correctly, that there are many people who are young guys and maybe with a low budget of maybe 3-4 crores ticket size, and they want to get into manufacturing, and then you're not very sure of what to manufacture and what to move ahead with. I mean, it's not that because I'm in a market research environment nowadays that I'm talking about this, but yes, I mean, even it also happens with people, I mean, who are already into existing business and they want to find out, I mean, what is new which can be added as a second revenue stream. But like you have put it, I mean, if you put it as a new person who's coming into it, I think there is I mean, consultants like Sanjay and maybe some market research companies, it's best to leave it into their hands. Only decision which the investor needs to take care, I mean, should take on his of his own, is whether, I mean, which type of business he wants to get in. I mean, is it B2B or B2C? I mean, I would again put it that from there, because sometimes you get driven by the industry segment and the product, and then you jump into manufacturing, and you have not actually seen the market ahead. So it's more of an inside out nature of an investor, that I mean, you like for, I mean, I'll give my personal example. I have been thinking of getting into food business. I mean, I love cooking, and I think that, I mean, I should jump into something where I it's a kitchen sort of a thing, and maybe you start a service of your own, and or get into some making good stuff food, and maybe a business of that sort, which, so in this case it is okay, because everybody wants something, he consumes something, so there is a market for it. So we are talking about some investments which go into making a product which finally has an acceptance in the market, and in that market you have got competition, and when you have competition you have got a price level to be addressed to. So I think if somebody is jumping into a new business and he is not very aware of what manufacturing is, or what products to make, I think I mean, the start point is not, I mean, which segment and which product. I think the start point is it should start from the customers. I mean, what is the market looking at, and how many players do you have in for that particular segment? I mean, how competitive is that product? I mean, what niche value does that product have? Is it a commodity product, or is it something which is value added, and where you need to justify? I mean, where the value has a price attached to it. Till that time, I mean, I have answered your question now. So if somebody is getting into the business, I mean, he needs to see that it should not be a commodity product, and it has to deliver the value to I mean, who's consuming it. So if so there has to be a big value tag to it, and that value should come from something which the others are not able to give in the in the market. So if I tomorrow think, and Sanjay rightly said, I mean, why should SME not get into the auto ancillary sector? I mean, there's everybody and anybody and everybody is making auto components for the industry. It is so competitive that you cannot stand over there. So I mean, I'm just linking that. So if at all somebody wants to get into manufacturing in the SME, I mean, he has to first of all think of uh, something which will deliver additional value at a high demanded price to that end customer, which is not so common available in the market. So I think that is a starting point, and for that you would need experts who have been in the industry, who know the market, who know the sectors very well, who know what is commodity in those industry sectors, and what can fetch value to them. So I think I was able to answer the question on that, or
Yeah, thanks,
that.
sir. It was good enough. So I think Mr. Mahesh Agarwal also has the same question, which says that he doesn't have a background of manufacturing and he wants to start something in manufacturing. So how to go about? Just to sum up what Mr. Nagi said, is we have a tool which is, of course, developed with SolutionBuggy and Mr. Sanjay Nagi's team, which is very analytical and which gives the result on which has multiple factors, and based on that it will give you some information of some suggested products. But at the same time, it also depends on your internal evaluation on whether you would be ready to take up that project. It's helping to make a decision. It's not market research. So again, A very interesting thing that we have observed in SolutionBuggy is, especially with these new products, is of course people go with a product mapping kind of report. They go ahead with a market research kind of a report, but then very few of these projects go forward. So, Sanjay sir, what could be the reason behind this? Is it happening everywhere in the world with all the industries and entrepreneurs that they go ahead with market research, they go ahead with product mapping, but then there's a block, and then only few of them cross that block and go ahead with implementation or starting of manufacturing.
Yeah, we do a lot of global business also. So we're connected with a lot of associations and whatever. See, one of the big difference that we have in India is that we have a very big demographic demand. Let's say the demand which we have for food must be the highest in the world. No? I think if you just see it from there, of course, per capita consumptions may be higher in Europe or whatever, but just the sheer billions that we have. So I think that makes a difference. As a result of therefore having a small market, their government incentivizes them a lot for export. And there is a lot of support from the government, not only in finance, not only in market research, not only, you see, the entire SBC Korea, Small Business Corporation Korea, they have set up around that. A similar scene we are observing in Israel. They have a limited demand and they won't be able to sell to the Arab countries. Now they want to sell to India. We have done a tie-up with them. So, I don't think they do so much market research need on their own because the government supports them on that. But here you have no such programs for the government supporting. So I think you have to invest in market research on your own. And without that, it would be sort of foolhardy to get into the market in today's competitive business times, especially when, you have to see business is always a subset of life. Now, if I have money and if I'm getting about 18% return in the stock exchange and the mutual funds, etc., I would business to give me more than that return. Simple matter. Or if I were to even go very safe and put my money into a liquid fund, I would get about 7 to 8%. So I would want my business to generate, and any entrepreneur should want the business to generate at least that much ROI. Otherwise, why would you do business? What's the point of doing business? So, as Amitabh said, on auto sector, you might get business, but you won't make money. You won't make those ROIs. You make those ROIs only in cases where, I'm again giving a framework, where the product life cycle is on the ascent, not where product life cycle has reached a maturity or has gone to a decrease. So auto sector has reached a maturity in terms of fountain pen industry or the incandescent bulb industry or the tube light industry has gone to a negative slope. It's gone into degrowth after the new technology came into LCDs and LEDs, right? The Samsung used to make TVs with the old technology, cathode ray tube, and now it's all flat panel and LED based. So it is only technology which will take you ahead. And I have many examples of SMEs who have invested in technology, invested in strategy, and they have been able to make very strong positions in the value chains in electronics. That today they are one of the top players and they have got global plants. So if you just do a business without the strategy, without the market research, you will make money. I'm not saying you will not, but you will not make that solid position. And I will connect you to these owners also. If somebody is serious about it, we will connect them to these owners who started with a 2 crore turnover. Today they are a 200 crore turnover company in electronic components where you are only supplying to LGs and Samsung. So you are actually left at the beck and call of the large buyer where you have no balance of power. But so we study these balance of power in the value chain when we recommend projects also. Definitely it's very, very possible to leverage this opportunity.
Okay. So, one more point that I want to ask you. This was about the importance of market research and why somebody should always go, regardless of whether they are starting small or big, should go with market research. The question is why, despite doing market research, a lot of projects do not move ahead.
See, I think there may be both reasons. One is that you are not able to. I'm putting myself also, or any other market research company. We are not able to generate confidence in the people's mind. We cannot say the fault is the entrepreneurs. If we are a service provider, so I think we are at fault that we are not able to generate confidence in them. That okay, this is a report, and I got this report, and I should implement this blindly. So they lack the confidence. Then again, they go and talk to two, three people, and those people take them on another path. And no, don't do this. You do this, and you do that. There is one entrepreneur who's been. He's a batchmate of mine from Roorkee. He's been after me for the last 14 years, and he's wanting to diversify. And every time I tell him, I put him on a track, he goes on to the other track because that guy was doing very successful business. He was importing from Korea. He is very successful in DLW. So I want to also become, and they never succeed. So partly it may be owner way they think. Partly it may be lack of confidence that we have, and partly we are not able to generate that decision. So that's why we don't make market research reports alone. We use market research to give a decision support tool, which is very scientific and very objective and data based. So that's why we have a higher success of people who are willing to go to the next stage to make the DPR. But still, some people may not. It's possible.
Okay, fine, sir, fine. That's good enough. And one of the points that I also have is market research is a research. It is more externally driven. So now when we talk to an entrepreneur, I give him few options. Might be his decision would be not to go ahead because the expectation that he had on that from that market research was not the actual one. What I mean to say is, if somebody has for example, a product in his mind, and he goes ahead with a market research, and the results of the market research are not thinking of what impression he had in the starting, he might not go ahead. So it's his decision. So, and then also decision is more internal factor as compared to, we can help, we can aid them, but we can't take decision on their behalf.
And last, which is the entrepreneur factor, is that people are tending, even in today's challenging business times, people are tending to think in the traditional manners. Now, why startups are more successful than the traditional SMEs who are into second generation, etc.? Why? Because the startups don't have a frame of thinking. They just see the opportunity, they grab the opportunity through technology, and they build business models around that. So technology is the biggest enabler, and unfortunately, market research is a very much required for that. But SME sector does not know in India because how to absorb that technology and how to drive that technology into a different change in a general sense. And the SME like you, whoever of you are able to do it, will definitely succeed. That I can tell you in my so many years experience. Those SMEs who have done that have really succeeded.
Thank you, sir.
Because if I can add to what Sanjay said, is it okay?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, Sanjay, you rightly mentioned some time back that maybe it is only not market research which will help businesses to grow, and you rightly mentioned that you need a more consultative approach for a market research report to get well executed or the business to grow. So if I can put what you said maybe in a different way, not in a different way, slightly different way, is that market research is only 50% of the job done. I mean, if you get it done. So it's like an interval in a movie, right? The main thing starts, like Sanjay said, that it is after that interval where there are four really very important things to be addressed after the market research, which I mean, I can put it like, building a product strategy, building a marketing strategy, building a pricing strategy, and building a distribution strategy. If these four things are not thought of after the market research, I mean, it's little difficult to climb the ladder of what you have thought. And I think one of these four gets missed out. It's not that you miss out everything, but all these four are so directly interconnected that even if you miss out either on marketing or on, say, the pricing or on the product strategy or on the distribution strategy, if these are all not synced, then the market research remains as a a theoretical researched study of the market, but then you miss out on the execution link, which are these four pillars, and they are the strongest pillar which you should need to drive it. And that is where, Sanjay, you said the consulting part comes in, and without that, market research is just a research which is there in a PowerPoint presentation or a file.
Correct, sir.
I don't know if I put that correctly or yeah.
Perfect. So, sir, quickly we'll take 2-3 questions. I see two questions very similar. One is from Mr. Arindam Sen and one is from Mr. Siddharth Chaudhary about powder metallurgy. So, Mr. Arindam Sen has a powder metallurgy for aluminum paste. He has got a small unit. So, he says, what are the possibilities? And Mr. Siddharth Chaudhary says, I am into manufacturing of copper powder, powder metallurgy. Any more ideas in ascending to other verticals? So how is this powder metallurgy business, number one? And if somebody is doing right now, can he grow in other verticals also?
Amitabh is the right guy to answer this.
I was just about to say that Sanjay is the right guy to answer.
Okay. See, powder metallurgy, aluminum is good, but do you have the right technology? Number one. Number two, are you able to have the technology not only for the product, that is the way that you coat a product, but also the kind of waste reduction that you do? I have guided people who have used, even silver powder metallurgy around the capacitors. In a capacitor, you have to use that. Now, if you waste 20%, your profitability is zero. But if you can find technology, a manufacturing technology to reduce that wastage to maybe 2%, then you make money. So I would not say the business is bad. The business is good, but provided you have the process technology and the product technology. Otherwise, it will be just like another sub vendor, and you will not make money. So I would qualify it like that. I'll give you an example. Airtel succeeded in selling the SIM through a panwala. So that was one of the ability which they developed. Uninor, they found a wrong partner. They first of all got into Unitech, which is a wrong partner. And secondly, they could not develop that ability. So in the same business, they failed and they had to get away from India, get out from India. So no business is wrong per se. But in this powder metallurgy business, I know if you can, now if you're using say 100 grams to coat, say, let's say you are doing powder coating on a chair, which is nowadays very common to do it on furniture, right? So you do that and you use 100 grams for one chair, vis-a-vis you use 50 grams. That is your product technology. The second is how much you waste while spraying. That is the process technology. I think the answers are with you.
Okay, so I'll just share my experience because I come from aerospace and defense background, specifically about powder metallurgy. And there are products, very, very specific, very niche products in aerospace, which are so right now imported from Europe or US at very, very high price. Absolutely not, proportional to the cost they have, but more the proprietary technology that they have. So if we can enter into those fields which are, much more, where we are much more dependent on imports, imports, if we can have a joint venture with those people or a technology transfer, because specifically talking of aerospace, the markets are declining. Civil aerospace particularly, because civil aerospace is a bigger part of it. So if we can find a technology partner and start manufacturing here, the market is all ours. Of course, we won't get volume, but we will get a good profitability.
And one last market opportunity in this space is to specialize in rebuilding. Like if you see now the parts for boilers, they become very costly and sometimes they're not available because that boiler company itself has closed down. And people want to continue to use that old boiler or that old machinery or the old excavator or whatever. So globally, rebuilding is a very big application of powder technology. So I think that I have not seen too much happening in India, except L&T used to do it quite a lot when they had the eutectic division. So that's a big chance over there. If you specialize in this, that you just become a retrofitter of old parts, and you rebuild old parts at a fractional cost that they will incur to import the new cost, and you do it at the site. Big opportunity, very big opportunity.
Right. So I think we have finished a time slot, and of course there are questions. So I want to apologize to those people for whom I could not pose the questions to the speakers. Of course, we can answer those questions. You can connect to us at info@solutionbuggy.com, or you can register. Go to our website www.solutionbuggy.com. Register over there. Definitely, we will connect you with Mr. Sanjay Nagi or Mr. Amitabh Pant, and then we can take it further. If you have any questions, any more suggestions, how we can improve, this kind of discussion, that also is most welcome. So I take this opportunity to thank especially the two speakers, Mr. Pant and Mr. Nagi, that they shared very good and valuable inputs for all of us, and also all of you who attended this session. I hope it was very good for you, and we are able to take the next step forward and go ahead and create something valuable for us as organization, as individuals, and also for the nation. So thank you all of you. And before I close, I would like to thank the internal team of Solution Buggy, Mr. Binchari, Mr. Gokul Yadav, Mr. Abhay Semha, who were at the back end to organize this event. So thanks once again. Have a nice afternoon. Thank you. Bye.